Hello and welcome. It is another fabulous episode and show for Real Estate 360. And This is Steve Connolly, hashtag unemployable.
And I am Mr. Jason O. Miles, hashtag the real estate trainer.
The real estate trainer. You know what? Today we are going to be talking about multifamily.
Absolutely. I think that there's a lot going on in the commercial side of the industry today. There's a lot that people need to be aware of, especially as it relates to underwriting these deals because of the drastic changes that are occurring.
Yeah.
You know, so those are important things. But first and foremost,
yes,
I want to thank everyone for listening. I want to thank everyone for going to iTunes and Spotify and Google Play and the website, realestate360show.com.
Yes, that's the one.
That's right.
It
that's
is
right.
theshow.com.
As well as Real Estate 360 on YouTube. And if you have not subscribed to the podcast or something like that, please, by all means, go and do that and engage with us. Again, we like the engagement. We enjoy the engagement. We need the engagement. Engage.
You know, today I wore my, pinstripe suit with my kind of artsy tie.
I can dig it.
White shirt, because we're talking about multifamily. It's like, it's a notch above. We're just trying to move up in every way, which is what everybody's trying to do. We're all trying to move up, create better lives for ourselves. I mean, I don't care who you are. Even if you're Richard Branson, you're looking for ways to improve whatever it is you're doing.
Right.
It's probably not money, but maybe it's something else.
Yeah, because maintaining is dying.
Yes, sir.
You're being stagnant when you maintain. You gotta keep on moving on up.
Moving on up.
That's right. Moving on up the ladder, baby.
That's right.
And it's different for all of us. But for us, it was a matter of creating mailbox money, if you will. The passive income lifestyle.
As much as we love the hunting and gathering, if you will, the finding the properties and putting together the transactions.
I am partly Neanderthal, so I'm with you on the hunter-gatherer part there.
Okay, good. Okay. That is, that's a trip, man. That's like and I call it, I go treasure hunting every day, and it's a lot easier to find these treasures than digging in sand on some beach somewhere.
That's for sure. That's exactly right. We were looking at I was at a new territory that we're working in.
Yeah.
And I had that same epiphany as I was walking down the beach. I was watching the guys, with the metal detectors and the sand.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm saying, what a waste of time. I mean, for trinkets, you know what I mean? There's so much to do and so much to be had by treasure hunting in other ways.
That's right.
And ours is real estate. That's what we're looking for.
It's a little bit of a mindset and a kind of raise your head up a little bit and just look around and start to get a different perspective. And you will see opportunity absolutely everywhere.
Right.
Which reminds me, I was cleaning the bathroom the other day. Yes, I clean my own bathroom.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
And I came up with an invention idea, and I'm not even going to talk about it right now. But I'm just kind of pointing out that no matter what you're doing, is you can come up with opportunities and ideas.
I can't wait to hear the idea. What is this? Just like a waterproof bathroom, and you just with a drain in the bottom of the floor.
I'll tell you what the name of it is.
All right.
I'm not too worried about anybody copying it. It's going to be called the bathtub mop.
Okay, I can dig it.
Yeah,
I can dig it.
Instead of getting down on your hands and knees, you can stand up.
I can dig it. So it's a mop.
Sort of.
For the bathtub.
Maybe.
Okay.
Something like that. That's just the name. Our sound tech guy's like, his eyes are going left and right. What the hell?
He's trying to think, how are we going to sell that on QVC?
That's funny you should say that. The vision that came with that was Shark Tank and Lori on QVC.
That's right.
Yeah. Or an infomercial.
Hey, they still have them.
Anyway, so opportunities everywhere. Diamonds in your own backyard.
Right.
Go get the book. And but we want to talk about multifamily specifically.
Yeah.
And how do we evaluate those?
Exactly. How do we look at them? How do we determine if it's going to be a deal that we want to do? Is it, or better known as the underwriting process, but on the front side, not lender underwriting, deal underwriting. As we talk about with our single family stuff, we have basically an underwriting process. This just isn't, it's a little more extensive, right? So we walk properties, we look at them, we determine what it's going to cost to renovate them, how much money we can make off of them. And that kind of determines in the single family world really quickly if we're going to, take this opportunity or not.
Single family world?
Exactly, because we're in the multifamily world space today.
That's right. That's right.
And in the multifamily space, we have an underwriting process where we determine the value of a property, which is based on how much money it generates, how much money it costs to run it, and what kind of renovations are there, as well as any upside. Can we raise the rents? Can we do some, improvements to the property, whether minor or major, to really, boost that value, to give us the value that we really see for that property? And ironically, it's the same everywhere.
Yeah.
We say that about the single family stuff, but things are different in the single family world, right?
Yeah.
Because, you might not be able to find a deal at 60 or 70 cents on the dollar in California or New York as we would here in the Southeast.
Right.
So it has to be modified. The whole process has to be modified in the single family world. Well, in the multifamily space, the numbers are the numbers.
Yeah, but aren't they a lot different in like New York City in terms of what they'll generate in terms of net income?
Oh, absolutely.
And the prices have got to be a lot higher.
Absolutely. And that's a different strategy of acquiring real estate. I mean, if you're in any of the 5 boroughs and you're buying multifamily, specifically apartment buildings,
right,
you're probably not buying it for immediate profit.
Oh, okay.
You're probably buying it because it's going to give you some tax advantages that you need. Maybe you're a super wealthy person and you've got a ton of money sitting over here, mm-hmm. and you need to do something with it, and you buy that property, even though it's only earning you, 2 or 3% a year, if that.
Right.
If that, well, you still have the cash flow. And for a lot of those businesses, the cash flow is something they can leverage to do the other things they want to do.
Right.
So there are different strategies, absolutely. But for the vast majority of people, buying in New York and California right now is absolutely out of the question.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is just you're out of there.
I'd like to say a little bit about how I evaluate these properties.
Yes, let's do that.
Well, you are you've got the program there, and you're the number crunchers guy, and you really love that part of it. I can do it. I can operate an Excel spreadsheet. It's not a big deal. I can make Excel spreadsheets, for that matter. I can put the formulas in. I know how to do that.
Yeah.
It's, but I really like just getting a quick overview of what it is that's available.
Right.
The one that we flipped earlier this year, it was like 18 units for $450, and it's cash flowing $8,000 a month. I don't need a calculator to figure this one out,
That's right.
And so then I just found one I sent to you a couple days ago up in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm looking at the pictures, it's 80 something units. It's the seller owner is right, and the way it was written in the little email I got, it said the seller is looking at 1.9 immediately, offers immediately. He's like, okay, I'll look at those.
Yeah.
And what they're saying is they don't want to see anything less than 1.9, and they're suggesting that it's going to go for 2.1,
right,
somewhere in there. And so I'm thinking, okay, so roughly $2 million for 80 something units,
mm-hmm.
generating $400 to $500 per apartment per month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then we're looking at one in Atlanta area here. That's about 80 something units,
mm-hmm.
Generating about double that rent
mm-hmm.
a month, right? At 900.
Oh, you mean the last one we looked at?
Cascade.
113 units. Yep.
113 units. That's right. It is more units. I forgot about that.
Slightly more units, slightly higher rent.
Slightly higher rent. So, but it's like 4 times that amount. So I'm thinking, and that thing cash flows will do really well for us.
Absolutely.
So this one should be a total no-brainer.
That's for sure.
I'm looking at the pictures, and there's nothing to do except for buy it.
Yeah.
And maybe adjust the rents, manage it, cash flow it, hold it, sell it.
And it's really in close proximity to a major market.
Absolutely.
So those are good things. Those are things that we really, really look at. But listen, I want to talk a little bit about, some of the things that you need to ask for when you're looking at a deal that you should ask the seller for.
That's a great idea.
It's a checklist of things that are really, really important. Now, depending on what you're buying, sometimes some of these owners, they're not going to have most of this stuff.
That's right.
But if they're decent operators, they're going to have all of it. But they know that you're serious when you ask for these things.
And if they're slightly above slumlord operator, then they might have some of that.
You're going to get something less. Let's take a break.
Yeah.
We'll buy your house. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833WELLBUY.com.
Or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla español. Llámanos. Call us today.
Hey, and we are back, Real Estate 360. From the show to the pro.
That's right.
That's not us. That's you. And that's why we're here, to give you as much real estate information as we possibly can.
That's right.
Our topic today is multifamily, and this is Jason O'Miles. He wants to talk about, hey, what do you need to know when you're buying a multifamily?
That's right. So one of the things you have to know is there's a lot of information that you have to gather. Now, depending on how this property is being operated currently, is it a company that owns it? Is it a mom and pop operation? Is it a slumlord?
Right.
There's all these different things, but you're still gonna ask for the same information. You may get it all, you may not get it all, but you want to gather as much as you can possibly gather. And I want to give you a checklist. I mean, it's a lot of stuff, but I'm going to just give you really some of the
that
most.
whole thing?
No, not going to have time to go over all of it.
Okay.
But if someone does want the checklist, what do they have to do?
Well, probably go to our website, which is realestate360show.com.
Mm-hmm.
Click on the contact button. That's the top right-hand corner. You've seen it where the menu is. You pull down the menu, hit the contact button, and guess what? You'll be able to email us direct.
That's right. And we'll send it to you if you want the checklist. So you're going to start off by asking for the basics, right? You want your rental agreements, your leases.
Right.
You're going to ask them for the leases. You want to see the leases, the current leases that are in place. Now, more often than not, they don't have these things. Again, it depends on what it is you're buying, right?
That's
right. Or
right.
from who you're buying it from, actually. They may not have all those leases digitized and can email them to you right away. We got one property where they said, well, come on and you can come and copy them all. There's just a big drawer full of leases,
Yeah.
Very few people are going to go through that trouble. But you want to know that the reason that you want to see those is because you want to know that those leases are real, that there are really people in, unit 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and so on and so forth, that they're just not fillers.
Well, and just because they have a lease
doesn't mean they're not fillers either.
Exactly. It doesn't mean that those people are still there or they ever were there.
Right. So you gotta really get that. You want to ask for any contracts that vendors might have. For instance, some of these complexes will have contracts with a cable company. They'll have laundry service contracts, things like that. So you want to see if they have anything like that in place, or if they have long-term lawn care or
Pest control.
Any of that stuff. Yeah.
Right.
You want to know what those contracts are. Maybe you can renegotiate them. Maybe you can get out of them if you know you can get a better deal, but you want to see what they're paying and what that is. So that's a very important thing. Trailing 3 years certified operating statement. So that's called a T12, but the last 3 years, right? You want to see how much they paid for insurance, taxes, water, power, security, renovation, what their turns look like. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that, really.
Can I ask you, going back, because we were just talking about the leases, the existing leases on the properties.
Yes.
Do you have on that list tenant applications?
No, because you don't really want to look at all of that. I mean, this is going to be a lot of information, and
you mean just in terms of the evaluation of the property?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I'm getting ahead of it because I'm thinking I'd like to have tenant applications now that we own this particular property.
Right. Yeah. You're generally. I mean, if there's an application, it'll be in the file for the people they gave a lease to.
Generally.
Generally, they won't have records of all the other stuff if they're not operating as efficiently as one might want them to, like the software that we use, and that other management companies use. It keeps track of those applicants right in there. Mm-hmm. So you can rehash them and remarket to them if you want to. You can retarget those people to see if they've got a place, or just to keep you on their radar for, future rental opportunities. So,
right.
But again, that's something that will generally occur a little bit later because you want to see what it's doing now and how it's doing. But if they give you their T12 and they're using the right types of software, they're going to have a line item on there for fees, and application fees are going to be there. So if they're collecting monies from that, however much it costs them, there's a potential profit center there.
Right.
So sometimes they're using services that, if they're charging $35 for an application fee, that's going to that service to do the background checks and the credit checks and all that great stuff. Sometimes it only costs them $15 or $20, and they're charging you the same $35 or $40 or even $50. I've seen some charge as much as $75 for the application fee. But really all that depends on how much you're charging for rent as well.
Yeah, and honestly, I would see that as an offset of other expenses. So if it's $35 and you're paying $15, somebody has to do the work to put that information in and pull the background. So there's a labor expense there too, management labor expense.
Not necessarily, because it depends on, again, how you operate. Now,
depends on how you operate.
Right.
Depends on how you have that structured.
That's right, because if you're hiring management in terms of actual employees, then absolutely. It's how much are you paying them a month or a week or biweekly, whatever that case is, or annually, because we look at it annually, and how much do we generate from all these other sources of revenue to offset what we're bringing in, right? So if you're using a management company, they're generally not going to charge for the application fee in terms of an expense to them. If you're charging $35 and it costs them $15, you made $20. Maybe they take their 6, 7, 8% of that. Maybe not. But generally, there are whatever your agreement is,
right,
in terms of how much they get based on what they collect, the percentage, that management fee, that'll generally be all they get. So it's just more profit for the company, for you, for the owners. If you're taking in 10 applications a month, and it makes you $150 a month.
Right.
It's not a major amount of money, but it's $1,800 a year. And if you and I are splitting that 50-50,
sure,
it's a trip somewhere.
If nothing else, it'll pay for somebody's broken window or
because that's going to happen,
repair or something.
Because that's going to happen.
Yes.
All right. So you also want to get the current rent rolls. That's going along with those T12s. Any ledgers that they would have. Receivable reports. But again, that would be on the T12, but you ask for it separately just in case, because some people are running QuickBooks here and they've got, a literal ledger book over here. And,
right.
You just never know how you're going to gather the information. And sometimes they'll have it in both ways. Mm-hmm. And you can look at it and check for discrepancies. But really what you're looking for is the holes in their system that you can fix to profit on. That's why you're asking for all this stuff.
Right.
Right.
You're looking for the gaps.
That's right.
Always looking for gaps
Always.
in anything, in terms of opportunity.
Because that is the opportunity.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Current applicant screening criteria. Mm. So that's important so you know what you're getting into. Now, I know you've got some great stories.
Yeah.
Because sometimes
very recent.
Yeah, that's right. Because look, you get into these things, and if they say, "Oh, yes, we're checking for, sex abuse cases, whatever kind of felonies and evictions, they can tell you anything, and they can put anything on paper to give to you. Really?
Right. Oh yeah.
But you've got to really put your toes in the dirt and talk to the tenants, because ultimately what happens, especially when you're doing a repositioning deal, meaning you're buying something to do a lot of renovation, clean up the property, and create value through that process, more often than not, you're going to run into tenants that are less than perfect.
Well, yeah, and depending on your socioeconomic situation where your units are, there'll be different percentages based on that. I think in terms of how truthful they are to you, trust and verify, right?
That's right.
But there's nothing wrong with sitting down in front of a tenant and saying, "Do you have any dogs?"
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so you've listed yourself and your children here. Are there any men that are going to be living in this apartment?
Yeah. Are there any other? Yeah, you want to know if there are any other adults there, and it really does matter.
Yeah,
I mean, it truly matters for so many different reasons. We know that people are going to have relationships, right?
Sure.
And some people's relationship criteria is different than others, right? So even though one person in that household has been approved to live there, the other one may not at all
get approved.
Exactly.
That's right.
In any way. In some ways, it could be dangerous and detrimental to you, the property owner, by having someone, maybe they're a sex offender and they can't be around children.
Right.
Or they can't be in certain areas. And that's a real threat today.
Maybe they're in a gang and they bring all their people over there, and hang out.
Those are real threats, though. Those are real things that operators have to pay attention to. It's not a matter of just getting your property rented or that unit rented so it can produce income, because you might be getting that X number of dollars per month that makes you look and feel stronger on paper.
Right.
But the problems that it could bring if you're not staying on top of it and operating correctly are going to be way more costly than the $100 or $200 a month
when you bring in this kind of product.
Exactly. Right.
Yes.
That's right. Let's get back on this after the break.
Okay.
Do you need to sell your house? Well, our company will buy your house. We make the process very fast, very easy, and it's all cash. All you have to do is give us a call today.
We'll buy your house. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833WELLBUY.com.
Or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla español, llámanos, call us today.
Here we go, Real Estate 360. And we're talking multifamily. And
That's right.
Mr. Jason O'Miles, without the apostrophe, is
That's
going through what every operator needs to know.
Yeah.
When they're collecting data to evaluate the purchase of a multifamily.
That's right. And this is an abbreviated version, because we're not going to have time to go through this entire checklist again.
No.
If you're listening to this and you want to get a copy of this checklist, just reach out to us at the website, which is realestate360show.com.
It's the show.
It's the show, from the show to the pro. And we'll get that over to you. Just shoot us a message and we'll email the whole list over to you. But I'm going to kind of jump through a few things because we want to have our T12s, our trailing 12-month for, turnovers, our trailing 12-month for mechanical contractor expenses. If you've got, things that were done, you want to know what they've done.
Right.
Right? If the previous operator or the current operator, you don't want to know what kind of work they've done. If they tell you they upgraded the plumbing, show me that you upgraded the plumbing and be specific, because depending on the building that you're buying or the year of the building, that's a big thing. It matters.
Now, all these things here are, relative, and depending upon the purchase price of the property and the amount of data, those things might vary. In other words, if it's a real bargain because the guy has his rent roll on a napkin,
right,
and he has no renovation documentation.
Yeah.
And you can drive by the property, at 8:00 at night, and there's a lot of people hanging out there.
Yeah.
That probably shouldn't be. That's going to be a relative thing. You're not going to maybe collect as much data, but you might get a great price on a property if you're in a position or you're in a mentality of being able to handle something like that.
And
a
that's
turnaround, basically.
For sure. And that's the thing about stuff like this. When you ask for this documentation, and they can, because there's a lot of things on this checklist, but when you ask for it, if they can't give it to you, if they can't give you anything that you've asked for, we had an operator once that literally we asked for all this information. He could give us nothing, I mean, nothing. He refused to give us copies of any of the leases. One, he gave them to the attorney, but he wouldn't give them to us. And it took weeks to go through the entire process because of that. We asked for the rent roll, and he literally wrote it down on a piece of paper and scanned it over to us.
Yeah.
And then we had to make sense of it because we couldn't get the guy on the phone.
Yeah.
We asked for renovations that were done, and he gave us a list of things that he had done, but you're looking at the building and you're saying there's no possible way he did any of this. There's just no way that he did any of this.
He may have paid somebody to do it, but that's as far as it got.
The man said he put new windows in one of the buildings, and all he did was take the old window panes from another building that needed full renovation and put the take the broken part off the existing unit that they had renters in, and then went to the other building, took that piece off that other window and put it over there. Keep in mind, these windows have to be original to this property in the middle building. And the one I'm talking. These windows have to have been in there since 1966.
No doubt.
I mean, there's just no way at any point. A
little metal frame, single pane.
I mean,
super cheap.
It's wicked. I mean, this guy said he had revamped the HVAC systems, and there were units. His idea of revamping them was, I think, dusting off the AC compressors.
There's a couple of the ones well, there's a couple of the ones that are just single units, and he probably pulled out the AC and put in a heater AC. It's one unit in the kitchen. That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
That's right. But that's what you got to deal with, right?
You put a fan in, the living room, right kind of in front of that heater thing. Shoot it to the hallway, and now you got central heat and air.
Central heat and air. That's right. and literally, that's how this guy was operating.
That's it.
I mean, he was literally operating in this way, and it was ugly. But just a few other things that it's really important to touch on. You want to know what their tax bills were. Details in their current real estate tax. If they're appealing, if they have tax credits, things like that. Now, most of these operators, again, depending on the size, the quality of the property you're buying, most of them, especially if you're buying C-class buildings, they're just not going to have that. They're not even looking to save money like that because a lot of times they don't know they can.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So there's that to contend with as well. You want to know what payroll expenses are. You want to have an inventory of all the property on the premises. What kind of furniture, appliances. We bought another property where we took inventory of everything, and then literally the day we closed, the operator ordered his property manager to take all those things out of there.
That's illegal.
It is, but then you have to pick your battles. Do I want to fight this guy over
a lawnmower?
Yeah, a printer, computer. Even though all the data we need is right on that computer, and we have to re-input it into another system. Yeah. It's a lot easier to export it off. The point is, do I want to go fight this guy for $600 worth of equipment, or just leave well enough alone and keep it moving? Because you're going to have petty things happen. And
the reason that he sold that is because he was a small thinker. Obviously he's thinking about $600 worth of used equipment, and we're in there raising the rents and increasing the value to create hundreds of thousands of dollars in extra value in that property. And then you had a lady come out and almost weeping because she said, "Oh, you guys are really interested in having us live in a very, in a nice place."
Yeah, because these are communities.
Yeah.
These aren't just dwellings. These are communities. These people
live there.
That's right. And these people are dealing with each other on a daily basis, however minor or major it is. And they should be comfortable when they come home. They should not have to worry about their safety. They shouldn't have to worry about their doors being kicked in or bullets coming through their windows,
Right.
you know, or their car being stolen from the lot. They shouldn't have to worry about these things, you know. And a lot of what we do as operators, we're coming into January, so we'll have the tax truck come out there and offer their services to the folks, because a lot of times they're not going to go over here to this tax place, so they're going to call whoever they can call. But creating a real community and a community mentality is going to help your property value, because you're going to have people that actually take ownership of your property. You know, they're going to pick up the garbage when they see the garbage. You know, they're going to let you know when something is going on, you know, in the property that they don't like and they know that you don't like.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the garbage thing, because, you know, I've got a real issue since I'm the manager down there.
Only temporarily.
Well, yeah. Let me talk. I'll talk about that for just a second. So we get this property and we hire management that we think is going to be pretty good, and they can handle, you know, challenging situations, because this property is really challenging. Is this okay if I do this now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just making sure. This is a story. So these guys, I mean, they handle mobile home parks. They handle, you know, the lower whatever economic scale. And so we said, okay, these guys can probably handle this. Well, about 6 weeks, maybe 2 months into it, they quit. They resigned because we had a couple tenants that were just calling every day a couple of times, and they were scared about old stuff that had already happened that these people were talking about, and they weren't even real issues now, and other things. So they quit. So we hired another management company, and they lasted 3 weeks,
approximately. Yeah,
3 weeks, you know, in this place. Granted, we did have a couple of teenagers that had pistols, and they were, you know, like to shoot their pistols off at night and stuff. So I mean, it was a real challenging property. Let's give them the due. And so they quit, and then so now I'm looking at it, and then it was a few weeks, you know, into this, and I said to myself, "Oh, I'm the manager of this now. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, all right, I'm the manager. Let's do it."
Yeah.
And so I went down. I started knocking on doors and writing letters and stuff, and most of the people there were very belligerent. Let's just say that. Very belligerent. And I was just,
I ain't paying him. Who is he?
Exactly. You know, I don't know who he is. I said, well, ma'am, the people that just resigned, that realty company, my name is at the bottom there with my phone number right there. You can call it, and I've got my phone right here. I don't care. You know, you don't have anyway, yeah. It was all like that. And they said, well, we don't know who to pay, so we're not paying nobody. I said, okay. So, and that's not everybody. There was a few that were, okay, yes, sir. You know, I will pay you. So you're the new people. Yep. Great. Here's your money. I want to stay here. But that was not the norm. It was more like 90% were, I'm not paying nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. But that paperwork, you know, I tell people all the time, you know, the pen is absolutely mightier than the sword, because for all of that negative energy, for all of that nastiness that they were throwing out, that venom.
Yeah.
The minute they get that letter that says, hey, here's what's going to happen if you don't do this by this day, some of them got some get right, and most of them didn't. And
well,
then
let's just say that most of them are calling me now.
That's right.
Saying, Mr. Steve, what do I have to do to stay here? Because I don't want to get my stuff put out.
That's right.
I'd like to pay you. Can we work something out? Yes, absolutely. We just want reasonable people. That's all.
That's exactly right. And you know, people have to want to be there, and they have to know that this is the process.
Yes.
And as long as we make that process known and clear, and of course we have to be available, then everything is going to be fine with the people, because we only want the ones that we want.
Right, and we want to. I'm seeing opportunities there to kind of create a community, if you will. One of the bigger issues that I have at the moment is people just dropping garbage and trash off at the dumpsters. You know, sofas, mattresses, tires. whatever. And so I'm gonna go down and appoint a garbage squad.
Yeah.
And get them to go out.
Because that's the thing, and that'll all get cleaned up, relatively quickly. But hey, let's take a quick break and get back to this check.
Hi, this is Sammy with Sammy Hadid Real Estate Keller Williams. Are you looking for a top producing agent who will look out for your best interests, top dollar on the sale of your home, a well-negotiated contract, an efficient closing? Please call me at 305-978-4249. I'm more than happy to set up a consultation. I'll put together a proposal for you to net top dollar for your home, what it is that I'm doing to get all my homes sold. Then you can decide what's best for you. Again, I'll do whatever it takes to get your home sold for top dollar, and I promise you that I will protect your equity with my life. 305-978-4249. Sammy Hadid, Hadid.
And we are back. Real Estate 360. Jason Miles, let's continue with your checklist.
All right, so we got out of it now. So the bottom line here, I'm pulling it back up. So,
yeah, that's all right.
The bottom line of all of this is really you have to ask for the information that's going to help you get to where you need. I like to ask for bank statements as well, because if you're giving the rent roll, you're giving me the rent roll, you're giving me leases, you're telling me that all these units are rented and maybe it's 92% occupied. Let's verify that with the bank statements.
Yeah.
Right? Let's verify that with the bank statements because you want it to be verified. You want to know that this dollar amount is actually coming in. And here's why.
Yes.
Because when you go to get financing, your lender is going to ask for that information. Right?
Yes. They're going to verify. They're not going to take your word for it.
That's right. And what they don't get, you pay for.
Right.
Meaning, yep, there might be 3.5% interest rates out there. But if you can't give them but half the information that they're requesting about the property, you're probably going to be somewhere around the 7.5% range.
That's right.
Depending on your credit and all that other stuff and your ability to operate these things, which a lot of people say, hey, well, that's not really that bad. And relatively speaking, it's not that bad. If you're comparing it to hard money, it's pretty soft.
But if you're comparing it to 3.5%,
it's
your
pretty
payments
bad.
are double.
That's right. That's right. So the more information that you can gather, the better you can package that information for the lender and their underwriting process, the easier it's going to be for you to acquire the loan and operate this property moving forward. Because there are so many things that you really need to ask for. I mean, just absolutely everything. One of the things I like to ask for also is maintenance records. You're telling me that you're doing this and you've got, or that you've done these repairs and that you have people on staff, you're paying X number of dollars per year for these folks. And I want to know how you're handling those work orders. I want to know.
Right.
How long is it taking you to fix these? What kind of tenant complaints do we have? Do we have any?
Yes.
We looked at one property. They're paying this guy on paper $48,000 a year, and then there's another person they're paying $36,000 a year. So I'm looking at, $80,000 and a little over $80,000 with $84,000
for what? Maintenance?
Yeah, maintenance guys and management, right?
Wow.
Plus they had a 7% management fee that was coming off of whatever the take was. I call it the take.
Who got that?
They got it. The operator got it.
The operators.
The operator got it because they were basically self-managing. They had this guy here, but then there's two guys.
Right.
One of them was a part-time guy who was not making $36,000 a year. Another one, the full-time guy, who they said was making $48,000, was not making $48,000 a year when you actually look at the numbers. So you're saying to yourself, okay, I can hire this guy or someone equivalent to this guy and save money. I can put a guy over here for $36,000, a single person for $36,000, and then pay my property manager the 6, 7, 8%, and I'd be
$48,000
to the good.
Yeah.
To the good. But upon further review, again,
Yes.
you got to put your toes in the dirt. You have to walk the property. You have to talk to the tenants. You have to talk to the employees. Before they give you the keys, you want to know what's going on. Then I find out the guy's really not making that much money.
Right.
Now, what did that do for this operator in terms of running his expenses up?
I don't know.
Well, for sale purposes, he pushed his value down.
I'm thinking, why would he even do that?
He's probably trying to save money on taxes.
Well, yeah.
But it's 6 in one, half dozen in the other. Where do you want to make your money? Was what it boils down to.
That might be on his tax return, but if he's trying to sell this, why wouldn't he give you the real numbers, and then that would push the value up on the sale of the property?
Absolutely.
And then he shows it and verifies it. Why would people do that? But you know what?
That's exactly
that might be one of those gaps we've been talking about.
It's exactly one of those gaps.
Yeah.
And you find them all over the place. And when you're underwriting these things, don't underestimate a $10 or $25 increase in rent. That, depending on the size of the building, is equivalent to hundreds of thousands of dollars of value.
What do you mean by that?
Hundreds.
Can you explain that?
Yeah. So, there's an equation. I'm not going to be able to go through it all. I'm just kind of brief overview. If you get a property right now and you can go in there, that it's under market rent. You can go in there and maybe paint, clean the carpet, it's just minor stuff. And you can take the rent from $500 to $550. That $50 extra, and let's say it's a 100-unit building, that's 100 units paying you $50 extra every month. That's $5,000 a month.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, that's if you got 100%, right? So let's just say you're 90% occupied. It's still $4,500 a month.
Right.
That's close to $55,000 a year. That is significant money. That $55,000, just that little $50 bump, just that bump, just that $50 bump on a property like that, depending on how much you paid for it, what the other things in the area are going for, that $55,000 a year that you just increased in annual income could be it's about a $300,000, $400,000 bump in value. Just that.
So we're talking 50,000 or so extra income that equates to how much in extra value?
Anywhere between $300,000 and $400,000.
$300,000 and $400,000.
Just in the value aspect side of it. So meaning if you bought that property, let's say for $1 million and you did that, you could turn around and sell it once you've.
Wouldn't it be more than that? No, it wouldn't.
Well,
never mind. I'm doing the math.
Yeah,
That's right.
Just an immediate value.
Yes.
Just an immediate value. A 30, 40% increase just from a $50 increase in your monthly rent.
Yeah.
It's significant. Not to mention what else you might do to increase the value of that property, which of course increases the rent.
Tons of things.
Yeah.
And it's all about the management and recognizing the opportunities where there are opportunities to be had.
That's exactly right. And it's all kind of little tricks to the trade, just things that you can add to the property that give the perception of value. There is an actual value there, but it's the perception of value. Like one of the things that we do is put the receptacles in there with the USB ports.
Right.
So
outlets.
Yeah.
Electrical outlets.
The electrical outlets. And then you got 2 extra ports on there for the USB, right? So in today's world, a person with a regular outlet's got to get extension cords and stuff like this to plug everything in, because we have to plug everything in now. You've got your headphones, you got your phone, you got your tablet, you got your whatever. Everybody's got all these gadgets, and it takes up a lot of,
USB ports.
Yeah. So now you can plug 6 into the wall right there in the wall instead of having to get your extension cords out.
Wow.
But those things are pointed out when you're leasing these places up. So whoever's showing the property says, and by the way, in each bedroom, we have an outlet by the bed that has the USB ports, and we have one in the kitchen or at the breakfast bar for company. Those are things that don't cost. What do those things cost? $6?
$7.50 direct from China.
It's quite specific.
Yes.
But just by spending that $30 in each unit adds so much more value to the property and makes people want to really, really take care of it. They're like, and they'll show it off. They'll show that off. which is amazing. You know what I'm saying? To me,
now,
it's
what's
amazing.
really amazing to me? One of those apartment buildings that we looked at, and they said, "Oh, these are the upgraded light fixtures."
Yes.
Now, I have never seen a situation where builder grade light fixtures were an upgrade.
Because how do you get less than builder grade?
I was wondering that.
I can't say what I call those lights on air, but I don't really know what they're really called.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
They're just the dome lights with the little center screw.
Let's call them udders. Utter lights.
Yeah, utter lights.
They're utterly amazing.
Yeah.
But,
that was the upgrade. These were the upgraded units.
They're brand new.
That was
and
amazing.
that was the executive package, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And that property sold for $8.3 million.
Did it sell?
Well, it's supposed to close on the 23rd.
Oh, wow.
On the 23rd.
Wow. We missed that one.
Well, you can't listen. It's when you're competing with cash, right?
I know, it's
on
tough.
that level, it's tough. I mean, you've got someone that the other offer, the offer they accepted, because we were second, as I understand.
Were we?
Oh yeah. So, but
we got that far.
I mean, we got up there. How can you beat a 14-day due diligence and a 15-day close?
No, there's no way.
You can't.
We were a little longer than that.
Yeah,
that's right.
We need a little more time.
A little more time to raise the cash.
Yeah, and even though we build into our contracts, an extension, and that extension costs us.
Yeah,
it was something they were unwilling to do.
Right,
the sellers, that is. Right. So, but that's okay.
It's all about taking the uncertainty out of an offer. When you can make an offer and there's less questions in the seller's mind,
right,
about closing.
Yeah,
really. Just closing.
It's always about performance.
It's
right. Always about performance. But we wouldn't have gotten that far into their process if they didn't know that we could close.
Absolutely.
And the plus, the thing about it is, listen, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. You're going to lose some deals that you really wanted for one reason or another. But every deal you get, you're going to get exactly like you want to get.
Yeah, that's right.
So you have to look at the other side of the coin there.
And in order to have a percentage of wins, you have to have a percentage of losses.
That's right. That's right.
If you have zero, where you don't get your contract accepted, that's probably because you didn't actually make any offers.
That's exactly right. So, it's like I say all the time. Guys in Major League Baseball are going to the Hall of Fame only hitting them 30% of the time. I mean that's a lot in baseball. I get it, but that's not a lot.
No,
that's not
in the world of the business world where you can run around and easily hit 90%.
Well, at least we'd like to.
Yeah,
at least we'd like to. But listen, thank you everyone for listening or watching today. Make sure that you check us out on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, realestate360show.com, as well as YouTube, Real Estate 360. Thank you guys.